So, what can I say about Sigurd that hasn't already been said? The guy is like probably definitely in the top 5 physically strongest Fire Emblem characters of all time. He has Holy Blood. He has a mount in the game with Super Kanto. Sure, the only skill he has is Pursuit, but that's really all that you need in this game. He could very easily get 50 kills on whatever weapon you want him to use, whether it be the Silver Sword, the Brave Sword. If you're feeling a little feisty, maybe even the Javelin or the Light Brand, just so he could have more than more than one range. He has like 4 or 5 alts in Fire Emblem Heroes, so everybody knows the guy. He's a very popular character, but sadly, we don't really know too much about his background. Like, we know that he went to a school with Eldigan, I believe his name is pronounced, and Quan, in which Quan married his sister, so the two of them ended up being very close. At the start of the game, though, he's there holding the Bastion at Shelfie with Arden, Alec, and Noish, who are 3 characters who you're never going to hear anymore at this point, so you could just forget their names. And you could just, from turn 1, you could see how good Sigurd is, because he just one-rounds the bandit. If he's standing in a tree, he's facing 0 hit. So, like, you know that this character, just right from the start, he's going to be just something else. Something like you've never seen in a Fire Emblem game up at this point, because, personally, I wasn't a big fan of Marth, and I mean, look at Alm's growth rates. Like, yeah, they're good for Gaiden standards, but, like, for Fire Emblem 4 standards, which, they hold up today in most cases, Sigurd was the best unit anybody has seen up until this point. And also, I just want to mention, his Holy Blood does expend to his sister, Ethlyn, and her children as well. So, like, Ethlyn, she could use A-rank staffs, or swords. She just can't use the tier thing. Same thing goes for Leaf. And, well, his son, who the next video is going to be about, Salith, he also could use every sword, including the tier thing, because it's his son. Now, right after the war starts, you get 2 other characters. They join you. Azel, Lex. Lex, he's the son of Lombard, I believe is his name. And Azel is the brother of Arden, or Arvis, sorry. Not Arden. Arden isn't the bad guy in the game. Arden is a sweet, sweet man who doesn't get the respect he deserves. Everyone goes out of his way to draw him bad, and he deserves a lot more respect. So yeah, you're not really going to hear anything else about these 2 characters right here. Also, just for the background, I'm just going to try doing as much of this with just Sigurd as I can, just to show off how strong he actually is. So, then Quan, Ethlyn, Finn, they join the battle on Sigurd's side. Sigurd, he doesn't even have to talk to him. You could talk to him, and, there'll be a little talk conversation where he says he's thankful for Quan to join, and they're like, hey, well, we always said that we would join each other's sides at a time of war. And on top of that, I'm with your sister, so I feel like it's only my responsibility to help you out. So Ethlyn, she's like, oh yeah, Sigurd, you're my brother, I love you. And then you get down to Jungbi Castle later on, and then you meet up with Medir, and Medir's all like, he got killed by an illegal critical off a bandit boss. So, like, you're not going to use this character either. He's going to join the scrubs in the back. You are going to use your sister. You are going to use Quan. You're going to use Finn, just because I love Finn and I'm completely biased to Finn. But that's it. So anyway, you find out that the princess, Aideen, you want to go down and save Aideen from the bandits. And so anyway, you find out Aideen, she's taken to another castle. And then you have to fight your way through a bridge of all full of enemies. But on the way, you meet Arvis. And Arvis, he gives you a silver sword. And there's no ill intentions with the silver sword. He totally doesn't give you the silver sword for the sole intentions of going out and having an easier chance of killing all the enemies, to be able to take over the castles, to put his own plan in fruition. There's no way Arvis would do that. Arvis is a sweet man who has never done anything wrong in his life. He is nothing but respectable, and he's also dependable. And if you don't think otherwise, then shame on you. So, you fight your way through it after you get the silver sword, which makes everything a whole lot easier on you. Like, trust me, it makes everything so much easier. So the Silver Sword is just slaughtering its way through. You kill Gandalf, and Gandalf's like, haha, you thought, but the princess is in another castle. So then you're like, alright, well, I'm gonna have to go down to Verdane and find out where these bandits took Adine. So you're going down there, and then you find out Eldigan, he's wondering, he comes all the way from Augusta, and he's like, what are you doing here, Sigurd? Like, why are you here at Jungby Castle? Where's Lady Adine? And anyway, so Sigurd's like, listen, man, you could ignore this. We'll drink some wine. He basically seduces the man in order to just forget all about what's happening, which I think is a little weird even for friends, but I'm gonna let it slide just because I like these two characters. So turns out, if you go down south, there's a lady named Ira. She's fighting in a war that she doesn't even want to fight in. So you're like, you know what? Well, I'm gonna save her. I know the Isakians right now, like they hate us. Like, we might have ruined a lot of their lives, like my country did, and they might have like a blood oath out against us type deal. But it doesn't really matter because I'm gonna help them out anyway because I'm Sigurd and I don't think twice about anything before I do anything. And that's a joke, by the way, because I think a lot of us would actually do the same thing in Sigurd's boots if a giant war was going on and our dad got blamed for everything, our wife got kidnapped. But I'm getting too far ahead of the story now. So you end up, you go down to the castle and you save Ira's little brother, who turns out that they're holding hostage. He doesn't even want to be there. Neither does Ira. So then you end up talking to her. She joins herself to the battle, which means, you know, the Isakians, they actually like you now, which becomes very important later on in the story because Isaac is a very underrated nation and they deserve a lot more of the story than what they got in the final result. And I am also biased when I say that one as well. And I am fully admit to my biasy because I grew up on the Sacred Stones and I always thought that Joshua was like the coolest person ever because he had a high critical hit rate. I am that guy. Or I was that guy, I should say. So you finally meet Adine, who's, you know, like I said, who's the princess of the castle that, you know, Sigurd was originally in, you know, well, not originally in, but the original castle that, you know what I mean, that Sigurd wanted to save. You know, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And what does Sigurd do when he finally gets to her? He walks right past her, but not before Sigurd discovers an exploit in the game where he could get 100 kills on his silver sword to make everything else go way easier. All he has to do is not kill the commander. So Sigurd, he's going off now with his 100 kill silver sword with nobody but Quan, Ethelyn, and Adine. Adine's only here right now because Adine needs to talk to somebody out in the woods, which, spoiler alert, we're going through the woods. I know it sucks, but we have to go through the woods. So as we go through, or before we get to the woods, we go into the castle that's stationed right outside, in which Sigurd sees this beautiful, silky-haired woman, and I'm telling you, she is absolutely gorgeous. Forehead on her like that, but she is gorgeous. Nice purple lavender hair. You know it smells nice just by the way she looks. Nice dress. She uses staffs. Honestly, one of the most perfect women you will ever see in your life. Anyway, she runs away, but an old man tells Sigurd, if you get with that lady, then bad things are going to happen to everybody. So maybe you shouldn't hit that, Sigurd. But Sigurd's like, you know what? Stories is stories. I'm going to do it anyway because I'm bombastic and I am Sigurd. So Sigurd, he's like, you know, headed on through. He gets to like this middle choke point type thing, and yeah, like I said, he ends up meeting her in the spirit forest. This is gonna bring back, you know, the end of the world, the old man said. But what else could, what can you do? You know what I mean? Like when there's a girl that beautiful in front of you. So then they get to the final castle where the man that Adine had to talk to in the woods, Jamke, his dad is actually like the king. They don't have holy blood, but he's like the king of the bandits, I guess you could say. That's the only way that I could really describe him, really, is King of the Bandits. And, and well, it's really cool in the manga, so I'm going to tell what happens in the manga. So Daedra, she silences him, and Sigurd, he walks in and skins the guy with a knife, just coldly. I don't know why they made him do that, but he just walks in with a dagger, and he skins the man alive. Just because. He did kill Jamke's dad. He is the one who, you know, originally planned to kidnap Adine at the start. But, yeah, no, Sigurd just skinned him alive. Fun fact, this is the first dark mage that you see in the game. And, honestly, besides one singular guy in the second chapter, you don't really fight any other ones until, like, Generation 2. I don't think. Like, yeah, you have the fat guy with the sleep staff in Chapter 2, but yeah, besides that, I don't think there's any, I don't think there's any other dark mages that he fights. So, you get to Augustria, and the Civil War is going on, because guess what? They're always in Civil War. That's all these people know. They just love Civil War in Augustria for some reason. It's even happening at the end of the game still, 17 years later, because everybody there is greedy. Sigurd, he just marches through, he kills just a bunch of useless, you know, cannon fodder, just what we'll call them. Like, yeah, they're generals, but like, they're probably the most forgettable bosses in farming history. Like, yeah, Macbeth, he looks cool, and not even looks cool, he looks funny and ugly, but like, you know, all I'm saying is Macbeth, Macbeth for Choose Your Legend 7, okay? Macbeth, Choose Your Legend 7. Don't forget to vote for him. You heard it here first. We're gonna get Macbeth in Heroes, okay? Just because I made that gaffe. So, like I said, we just slaughter our way through. Meanwhile, our friend Edelgin, he's just completely in jail for treason or whatever, because, I don't know, Chagall wants to bang his sister or something, and he doesn't want it to happen. I mean, sorry if the algorithm hates that. That's really the most PG way for me to put that. So, what ends up happening is Lowen, who I made the first video about, he joins, and then he's like, Sigurd, I don't know, man, like, you're out here, like, you're perpetrating war, like, maybe you should put your weapons down. And Sigurd's like, you know what? I think you're right, Lowen. We're going to put our weapons down. We're going to give up. We're just not going to do anything. We're going to go home. And Lowen's like, whoa, man. Don't do anything so rash. Like, I'm just a bard. Like, how about I join you and we finish these enemies? Because it looks like there's only about a couple of them left. Ignore the fact that this game's generation goes on for like 2 years. Like, you don't even have your baby yet, and we're gonna be at the next castle for like 6 months, but, you know, we'll be fast, I guess. So you go through, then you get Chagall. Chagall, he runs away. Like, anyone can unanimously agree that Chapter 2 is the worst chapter in Fire Emblem 4. You also get Latches, Holland, and Beowulf as well. You get 3 new characters who I genuinely like. Oh, Aranis, Lowen, and Sylvia as well. You have 6 new characters, all of which I like. Not so much Beowulf and Holland though, but I like the other 4. With Lowen literally being my favorite character in the series. I think Sylvia may be the best dancer, and I think Aranis is beautiful, but just this chapter, alright? It's a lot of, you run straight, you run north, you run south, you run east, and you just backtrack the whole thing. And then you gotta get Lowen from here down here. It's a lot, okay? Then you got the bargain band hustle going on. It's not a fun chapter to play, okay? Okay, so then Chagall runs away, and he's like, you could stay at my castle for the next year, I believe it is. But then like 8 months later, sorry, gotta take a drink. So then 8 months later, Chagall's like, they've been there long enough. We're gonna fight him off. Edelgin, you are going to be like cannon fodder if he doesn't call it off. And Sigurd and Edelgin's like, I don't want to hurt Sigurd, man. Like, my sister's in that army. And Edelgan's just kind of like, I really don't care. So Sigurd, he got to run north, and he got to take out this Jabro fella, whatever his name is. He's just some generic mercenary guy. And so, you easily slaughter him. But then you meet Father Claude and Talatu. And Talatu has thighs for days. That's all I could even say. That lady got thighs 4 days. Like, that's how you know where Ishtar got it. Because Ishtar, my God, the Frege women, I'm not talking Hilda, but like, Talatu, thighs, alright? That's all I'm saying. Ishtar, for sure. Ishtar is probably my favorite woman in probably all of Fire Emblem. She's like the only person in the game that I actually even have art for that someone drew out for me, which I am highly appreciative of. So then Edelgan, he gets called into the battlefield, and you're like, oh no, I don't want to kill this guy. Like, he likes Sigurd so much. It's one of his friends from school, and just the generic anime tropes. And he just rolls out, but you could talk to him with your sister, and it turns out that he gets beheaded, like, by Chagall if you talk to him with his sister, which is canon in the story, because Chagall, he'll, like, in the manga, which I don't know if it's considered fully canon or not, but I assume that they had to at least go through the proper, like the proper resources and get approved from like Kaga and stuff, just to be able to get this, published, right? So I think it's about as close to canon as we're probably ever going to get for a continuation of the story. So I like throwing some of it in just to see other people's interpretation of the character that we all love and that we all agree to be so strong. Definitely one of the most popular characters, like in, I can't say modern Fire Emblem history, but definitely one of the most popular characters in Fire Emblem. So Chagall, he throws Edelgan's head at Sigurd, and then he falls off the building, kills himself. But in reality, you kill this guy with Lex because you obviously want to get the silver blade on Ulster, right? I mean, this is like the only time you can get one, so it could be either. I mean, in game, Lex kills him with the Brave Axe. In story, he commits suicide, but obviously they couldn't do that. So now all of a sudden the bandits, they're starting to come in from the south or from the north, and Sigurd's like, we need to stop these guys. Like, they're just bandits. They're gonna be, in which they are. I mean, like, when it comes to Sigurd, they have like no hit on Sigurd. Like, these bandits do not stand a chance. Like, they are, my God, like, they are not very strong. You just take him out. Sigurd gets the leg ring because he's the only character that you actually want to use just to get him to the castles. You could only play this game as fast as what Sigurd could go. As long as you could have like a physics staff or something on him just to keep him topped up. And you get Lachesis, who becomes a Master Knight, who can literally use anything. I usually have Lachesis as a Master Knight by Chapter 4. So like by right now, like we're doing pretty good usually when I'm playing. Sorry, off on a tangent again. But then, after you get Orgahil, oh, forgot to mention, you also get a new character named Bridget. She has Holy Blood, and she uses the U-Fill. She's pretty strong. I like her. I think she's a beautiful girl. She's also technically a sword fighter, because she's also Avel in FE4, which, spoiler alert, it's not much of a spoiler. Okay. So, after you get Orgahil, the bottom of the map is full of, I can't remember the name of the house, but it's Lex's family and also Frege. And they're like, stop, Sigurd, you're under arrest, treason, we're gonna, right, time for you to die, man. Like, sorry I had to come to this, but like, your time is up, Sigurd. So, Sigurd's all like, I'm not gonna do that. And the Pegasus Knights from Salice, which is Lowen's home country, they come pick you guys up. And Sigurd's like, oh my God, you guys could not have better time. Like, thank God we're in an anime game, because if we weren't in an anime game, I would be dead. And Sigurd's like, alright, we're gonna go with these guys to Salice, and we're neutral, so you can't attack us there. And the other guys are like, rats, we've been foiled again. So anyway, fast forward a few months to Solis. Your sister and Quan, they both leave Sigurd behind. They need to go home, get the Monster Knights because they want to help clear your name, which is very noble of them, very nice of them. They are great people for doing so. We are all very thankful for what they've done. So anyway, and also, we hope that nothing bad ever happens to this couple, Quan and Ethelyn, because they deserve to live long, happy lives, and they totally do not deserve to die in Chapter 5. That totally does not deserve to happen. So, you end up talking to Lowen's mom, which makes Lowen jealous because, he ran away all these years ago, but, I guess he still has mom issues, which, don't we all, to an extent. And so Sigurd, he just runs north. He wipes out, like the first castle like it's absolutely nothing. I mean, like, Sigurd, he doesn't struggle with anything, as you've seen from this game so far. Like, he truly can do whatever he wants to do in this game. Everybody loves Sigurd. He is a fantastic human. So then Anon, who's Aaron's sister, she ends up dying, like, in battle to one of the other head Pegasus Knights. And like I said, she dies. I mentioned that in the last chapter because that really affected Lowen, and that's how Lowen ended up getting married to Aaronus right away, because Lowen always had a crush on her sister as well. So Sigurd, he's all like, Lowen, you should go home, talk to your mom, see what she wants. Like, she could definitely do it right now, especially after Anon died. And Lowen's like, you know what, you're right, Sigurd, gotta listen to you. I'm going to go home. I'm going to see what she wants. And then you get another holy weapon, which is probably everyone's favorite, especially if you're watching the channel. It's none other than Mom's Versetti. So you get the Mom's Versetti, and you just wreck everything. Chapter 4, it's mostly a Lowen-based chapter. Sigurd doesn't, like, yeah, he got to conquer the castles, but, it's literally Lowen's family that you're killing, and the chapter really likes to focus on him, which I appreciate. I love Lowen. I think he's probably one of the best characters in the series. I absolutely love the guy, and I am 100% biased when I say this. And of course, you had to get hit by a 6% there. So now we have to fall back with you. So after chapter 4 is done, like, you notice your dad out in the battlefield. Also, I forgot to mention, Seleth is just destroying in every... Sigurd is destroying in every single arena match in this game. Like, without hesitation, with no exception. Sigurd destroyed every gladiator in all of Jugdraw up in this point. And that is not stopping in this chapter, because he very easily clears the arena in one singular go. Once again, clearing out all the arenas in every chapter that he's in. Because our Lord and Savior, Sigurd, is basically a god compared to everybody in this land. Should just throw that out there, just in case anyone thought maybe this character can't make it through the arena for whatever reason. So, then so you taught your dad, he gives you a broken sword, and he's like, it's our family's heirloom, and you must take it, because if you don't take it, then you'll never be able to take magic hits, because you won't have the plus res, and then you'll get sleep staffed in the desert. And Sigurd's like, well, I don't want to get sleep staffed in the desert. Then his dad just dies conveniently. As soon as he passes the sword, the man dies. Which, tragic. This is Shakespeare level writing. Absolutely tragic. Then you go out, you kill Lex's dad, Lombard, and he's like, oh, well, if it wasn't for your dad who's a traitor, which we all know it was a Lombard, like, everybody knows that, like, that's not even a secret, like, literally everybody knows it was a Lombard that set up your dad, but, we all just pay no heed to his nonsense anyway, and we just go ahead with what he's saying, we kill him. Meanwhile, the Knights of Lawnstar, they come from the desert, and they're like, Sigurd, we are here to save you, and we will protect you from everything that could possibly go your way. And then they immediately get killed before they could even make first contact with Sigurd by Draco Knights, led by Trevant, who then kidnaps Arion, who is Kwan's daughter. Which, yeah, it's quite unfortunate that happened. Needless to say, they went all of their way to get everything done for Sigurd, try to help him out, and they just ended up losing everything, losing their lives, losing their children. Finn has to go on the run with Leif, but that's a story for another day. You then run down into a desert town, and they're all like, you know, there's mages everywhere. You're dodging meteors. Sigurd, he's basically still the only one you're using at this point, unless you want to use somebody else. Probably using Moms for SETI, though, to be fair, because, you know, if you're on this channel, you probably like Moms for SETI at least a little bit. So, this is when the game starts getting a little bit more tragic. Like, everything just starts feeling a bit off. You're getting talk conversations with all of your units' wives, and they're like, man, like, something is not good here. The husbands are telling their wives it's time to leave the battlefield. Some of the wives don't want to go, and they're like, can I just stay with you a little bit longer? Everybody knows what's about to happen, and everybody knows that it's not going to be good, whatever does happen. Sigurd gets down to the desert, and they tell him, yeah, man, your brother-in-law, your sister, they're died. They got wiped out by Draco Knights. And Sigurd's like, no, not my sister. And then full of rage, he goes further down into the desert. And they're all like, hey, man, what's going on, big guy? And Sigurd just destroys them all. But as soon as they come in first contact, you have the Valhalla Knights. They turn against the Frege Knights and just start attacking them right there in the middle of the battlefield, because they just really don't care about each other, not the slightest. So, because they also want to make sure that Sigurd, or that Arvis, can become the Emperor. They don't want Lord, I can't remember his name. He's the guy at the pineapple shaped head. You guys all know who I'm talking about when I say the pineapple shaped head guy. You gotta know. I should have searched up his name. But then you walk in and then you see who I believe is one of Arvis's mistresses, or one of his prior mistresses, or like his sister or something. And she's like, "Oh, Sigurd, Lord Arvis wants to talk to you, and I promise you that there's nothing bad that's going to happen to you at all. He just wants to have a regular old conversation with his old friend, his old chum Sigurd. He's glad that you made it. He wants to knight you himself." Sigurd's like, hey, not bad. Not bad for a guy you just left Chelsea 5 chapters in a paralogue ago, am I right? So anyway, Arvis is like, Sigurd, sorry my friend, but you're marked for treason. We gotta kill you. And Sigurd's like, no, you don't. You don't have to kill me. Like, I just done what you asked. Like, you're the one who gave me the silver sword that I killed everybody with. And Arvis is like, listen, I'm gonna do you a favor at least, man. You can meet my wife. Turns out, it's Sigurd's wife. I forgot to mention that she got kidnapped, by the way, which is very pivotal to the story. Left Sigurd with a child, and also he had to take that child and give it to Shannon, which is that little boy from Isaac, who, you know, we mentioned briefly in chapter 1. A little side story, you never actually see baby Sigurd except for one fraction of a second when they walk off screen in chapter 5. I should have mentioned that. I'm sorry. I hope you guys don't hate the video because I made that one little error in forgetting that. So anyway, just after Deidre starts remembering like who Sigurd was, Arvis, he starts getting mad. And Arvis is like, listen, you gotta get in that castle. We're putting Sigurd to death right now. And Sigurd's like, no, please don't. And then he gets stuck on the barbecuer and just absolutely hammered with fire magic until he burns alive with the most of his army, and the ones that aren't burned alive, they are scattered. Lana, she ends up making it, Aideen, she ends up making it back all the way to Isaac, in which she helps raise the future generation of kids. But a lot of the people, it doesn't even really say what happened to them. So that's the end of Sigurd's story. And when we pick up next time, we're going to be telling Selef's story, if you guys are still interested in that. If you guys like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I promise you the editing and the quality of each video will be going up, up, and up. like each time. I can't believe that we're just shy of 200 subscribers already. Can't believe that we only started earlier throughout the month there. So honestly, thank you all so much. I couldn't ask you guys for anything more. I hope everyone takes care. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and everybody, I'll see you in the next one.